Yo, what's going on, y'all? It's Cone back here again today with another episode of After the Buzzer, the show where I recap the NBA games from the night. And we are back. NBA basketball was on my TV last night, and it was amazing. New York Knicks, Boston Celtics in the first game on ring night in Boston, a potential Eastern Conference Finals preview. And following that, Minnesota versus the Lakers, the new look Julius Randle Timberwolves going up against the now Redick led Los Angeles Lakers. Both games, there was a lot to get into. But for a majority of this video, I want to focus on the Celtics versus the Knicks because this, again, could be a conference finals matchup. I imagine a lot of you probably predicted that to be the case. It was my prediction. The majority opinion is that these are the two best teams in the Eastern Conference. And I thought it would be a semi-close game. I did have the Celtics winning, and I figured they would kind of pull away a little bit at the end, just because they are the better team. They were, of course, the reigning champions. They're pretty much everybody's pick to repeat in the Eastern Conference, and a lot of people's pick to win the NBA Finals again. And the Knicks are still gelling. They brought in massive pieces with Karl Anthony Towns and Mikal Bridges. Anunoby hasn't played that many games under Tom Thibodeau. It feels like it's going to be a learning process. So I thought the Celtics would win in a back-and-forth affair that ultimately they pulled away. And what I didn't expect was for them to absolutely wipe the floor with the expected second best team in the Eastern Conference. This game was probably close for the first couple of minutes and then nothing. There were 20-point leads, there were 30-point leads. The Celtics ended up winning by 23, and the only reason the gap got that close is because they were just throwing up like 30-footers at the end of the game, trying to break the all-time three-point record, which they tied in this game. The Celtics finished the night with 29 made threes, which ties the Milwaukee Bucks for the most all-time in an NBA game, and it took a massive cold stretch at the end for the Celtics not to break that record. Peyton Pritchard comes in, he shoots 1 for 9, and again, they're throwing up like 30-footers, running around screens. They're doing everything they can. Xavier Tillman shoots 3 threes in this game. Sam Hauser went 2 for 7. The bench was trying to get this record for the crowd. They were cheering. They wanted it. They didn't end up shooting on the last possession, which the crowd booed them for. I was also booing at home. But yeah, after a summer where a lot of people were saying, oh, the Celtics weren't actually that good. They had a very easy path to the NBA Finals. You know, Jayson Tatum had a bad finals run. He's not actually that good. He got carried, this, that, and the other thing. A lot of conversation surrounding a team that just dominated the NBA. The Celtics answered it in what I believe was the best way possible. They literally almost had the best three-point shooting game ever. And like they were shooting 60% from three roughly when they started chucking a bunch of threes. The starters shot around 60%. Jaylen Brown 5 of 9. Jayson Tatum 8 for 11. 3 of 5 from Al Horford. 6 of 10 from Derrick White. 4 of 6 from Jrue Holiday. They were getting a lot of really good looks like the Celtics typically do. They generate great threes. That's what they did all last season. But they're also hitting contested shots. Jayson Tatum, it's just one game, but the three-point shot might be back. Again, 8 of 11 from 3, and it was all types of threes heavily contested. It was open. It was sidestep, step back, whatever you wanted from Jayson Tatum. He was making it happen tonight. Finished with 37 points, 4 rebounds, and 10 assists. The 10 assists maybe is the biggest thing beyond the three-point shot. The processing, the playmaking, the decision-making from Jayson Tatum. This was one of the best games he's ever played in those regards. He was picking apart this Knicks defense like it was nothing. Mikal Bridges, Anunoby, didn't matter who was in front of him. He was driving and attacking. If pressure came, he found the open shooter. He was making the right pass continuously, knowing when to be aggressive and attack downhill, using his size and finishing at the rim, which is something he didn't always do last season. One of the most complete games that Jayson Tatum has ever played. And again, with all the criticism he endured throughout the summer between not playing for the Olympics and again, not having the best playoff run in terms of efficiency, he answered all the critics. This is the Jayson Tatum I want to see more of, because if they're getting this Tatum on a night-to-night basis, there's not really anything you can do against the Celtics, and he might go out there and win MVP. He was my pick last season because I thought we would see more of this, but there's inconsistency. And again, it's just one game. But Tatum, this was maybe the best he has ever looked. The Celtics offense, Missoula ball was in full force. They couldn't miss from 3. They generate great looks. They were completely picking apart the Knicks. They were relentlessly attacking Karl Anthony Towns, especially at the beginning, whenever he would drop, and he was going into a deep drop on defense. They would pull up and hit threes. They would hit some mid-range jumpers, attack him in space. Same thing with Jalen Brunson, Mikal Bridges. I'm hopeful the defense is going to be better than it was in this game because it was not there. The screen navigation was rough. And the Celtics, again, just decimated a team that is supposed to be competition for them. Once again, following a full off season where a lot of my comments and a lot of the overall surrounding narrative with the Celtics was, oh, they didn't really play anybody. in the Eastern Conference. They didn't have much competition. Teams were beat up. If they were healthy, they would have lost before the finals. This, that, and the other thing. It was never going to matter. The Celtics are unbelievable. And if this game is any indication, they might be about to level up because they didn't even have Kristaps Porzingis in this game. They're not going to have him for the first couple of months, probably until the calendar flips over to 2025 and even beyond, because I'm sure they're going to be careful with him. They didn't have one of the most impactful players on both ends for them, and they still almost broke the three-point record. Jayson Tatum had a 37-point double-double, 23 from Jaylen Brown, 24 from Derrick White, 18, 4 and 4 from Jrue Holiday. Nightmare for the rest of the NBA to see them operating at this level, because I'm sure some people thought, after winning a finals, maybe they take a little bit of the foot off the gas, maybe they're not quite as dominant. They might be more dominant. They are on their way to breaking the game of basketball, and really it feels like they're changing it forever, because we've seen three-point revolutions. The Celtics now have optimized this thing where they have all these shooters. They have this 5-out offense that generates continuously great looks, that makes the extra pass. They just play like perfect modern basketball out there. And there are going to be some nights where they don't really hit their threes, and that's when you catch them and you beat them. But if they're even semi-hot from three, which is going to be often because they've got countless good shooters on this team, especially if this Jayson Tatum shot is here to stay, which, some of the threes he was hitting tonight was ridiculous. Like, what do you do against this team? How do you stop them, especially because they're also a great defense? It was game-breaking stuff. One of the most impressive efforts I've ever seen from the Celtics core, and it's coming off a championship that they won where they faced basically no resistance because they just destroyed everybody. I'm one of the people who was like, the Celtics are just going to beat everybody in the Eastern Conference. They're going to win the NBA Finals because I don't know if anybody can touch them. Not because teams are injured. They were just overall the best team. It feels like they got better. Scary sight, very scary sight for the rest of the NBA. And yeah, the Knicks, again, just didn't really stand a chance whatsoever out there. OG, 1 of 7 shooting, 0-4 from 3. Mikal Bridges started terrible. A lot of conversation about the shooting form, which looked bad in-game and pre-game. I will say about halfway through, like right after halftime, Mikal's form looked better and he was way more effective. He finished 16 points, 2 dimes, was 2 of 7 from 3, but 7 of 13 overall, had some nice touch shots in the mid-range, finishing around the rim. Overall, not the worst game from Mikal Bridges, but you definitely need to see more in terms of the shooting, and that was really a big concern for the Knicks this whole game. The Celtics shoot like more threes than anybody, so this isn't really indicative of the gap between these two teams and how much they're going to shoot threes. Plus, again, the Celtics were just chucking at the end to try to break the record, but the Celtics shot 61 threes to the 30 of the Knicks. The Knicks took 78 shots total, only 17 more than the amount of threes that the Boston Celtics took. It was a barrage, and the Knicks couldn't really match it, and that's one of my concerns, especially with having Josh Hart in the starting lineup. I feel like Deuce McBride should probably go ahead and start. That's something I've mentioned a few times here on the channel and over on Twitter and whatever. They were just kind of letting him be open. They were putting the center on Josh Hart, and if he shoots, you live with it, you sag off of him. He's not really going to catch it and shoot with that much confidence. Deuce McBride was awesome tonight, 22 points, 8 of 10 shooting, 4 of 5 from 3. I feel like he's going to have to be a starter out there. We'll see if they make that move. But yeah, not the most promising first game from the Knicks. I'm not really worried. Like, Jalen Brunson was great, 22 points on 9 of 14 shooting, just only played 24 minutes because they were getting annihilated. I think they're going to be fine, but Mikal's defense and the three-point shot, the weird funky form, doesn't feel the best. The cat thing was a little bit wonky. Again, he was getting fried offensively, but all this does have to be taken in the context of they're playing a team with the best chemistry in the NBA, a team coming off an NBA Finals, who just had one of the hottest shooting nights we've ever seen. So the Knicks aren't completely dead in the water. If anything, I feel like this says more about the Celtics and just how insane they are, how dominant, and how there really may be nobody in the Eastern Conference that can even come close to their level of play, and maybe nobody in the entire NBA, especially when they have nights like this. If Tatum is playing this way, he could be a real MVP this season. I know people like to hate on Tatum, but it's a real possibility. So yeah, shout out to the Celtics for that resounding win. Just a horrifying basketball team to play and very fun to watch. And in the second game, you had Lakers versus Timberwolves, where LA grabs a win to start the season. Redick's system looked really promising in that first game. I am encouraged by what I've seen from the Lakers throughout the preseason and now in this first real NBA action, because they got pretty good three-point looks. They were trying to get them up, shot 30 of them, but only made 5. But they still come out of here with a win because a lot of it was the other things. And they were good looks. I think a lot more of those threes are going to fall. But I was encouraged specifically by like the offensive rebounding. They were putting a lot more effort in on that end. Turnovers. They only had 7 turnovers this entire game. That was less than half of what Minnesota had with 15. They were taking care of the ball. Guys were moving on and off ball. A lot of good action, screening. I thought it was just a really dynamic and fun offense to watch. Different from the Lakers teams of the past, more effort. And I think this is stuff that's going to carry over, especially if those threes fall more. This could be a pretty scary team, especially if AD keeps playing like he did tonight. He had 36 points, 16 rebounds, 4 assists, a steal, 3 blocks, 3 offensive boards there, nearly 50% shooting. And that was going up against a team with Rudy Gobert, the reigning defensive player of the year, size out there as well with Naz Reid and Julius Randle. AD was just a monster. Nobody could contain him, whether he was attacking downhill, he was hitting some really tough jumpers, hit a 3 in this game. Defensively was impacting everything. Maybe this is the finally defensive player of the year season 4, Anthony Davis, where he gets rewarded with that. An award he probably should have at this point. Just game breaking on that end, and maybe JJ Redick is going to continue to unlock him at this stage in his career. We'll see. But I loved what we saw between him and LeBron James, who had 16, 5, and 4. Not a crazy game, but only shot 16 times compared to the 23 from AD. And yeah, very, very encouraged by what we saw. Bronny James got in the game, first NBA action, grabbed 1 offensive board, and then got, I believe it was blocked by Rudy Gobert. He missed a 3, but he was fine out there. First possession, he gets matchup on Julius Randle and just gets bullied to the rim. Welcome to the league. That's going to be his moment. That's really all I have to say about the Lakers. Just promising, encouraging stuff. The fact that the threes were not there at all, and that's one of JJ Redick's big points of emphasis, and they still won doing the little things. Very, very encouraging. Then on the other side, you have the Timberwolves, who had a very weird game. There were some moments where they looked really solid, a lot of other moments where it looked super clunky, and everywhere in between. Like I said in my season predictions video when I had the Wolves, I believe at the 4 seed, it's going to take some time for this thing to work, if it ever does. Julius Randle, not the best debut, 16, 9, and 4, 50% shooting, so it wasn't terrible. But the fit with him, Gobert, Ant was definitely a little bit weird. Ant took it upon himself with not the best spacing out there to shoot a lot of threes. He shot 13 threes in this game, 5 of 13. So the percentage wasn't that bad, but overall 40%. And I don't really want to see Anthony Edwards taking more threes than 2s in a game. I just feel like for a guy who's so good at getting downhill and attacking, so athletic, I'd rather he's inside the arc more. I mean, I'd love for him to take a bunch of threes, but 13, it feels like a little bit too much. I mean, he was also trying to claw them back in this game, so I get it. 4 turnovers and 3 assists as well. I was hoping to see a bit more in terms of the vision and playmaking from Ant. That's something that needs to evolve in his game if he wants to take the next step. So hopefully we see more of that throughout the season. Not a great game from Dante, 3 of 11 shooting in his debut. Jay McDaniels, 3 of 8 shooting, just 16 minutes, was just not good in this one. Yeah, it's going to be weird for the Timberwolves. I don't know if this Randle thing is going to work. I don't know what it's going to look like as they get more time together. I'm sure they'll figure out a little bit, but it wasn't the most promising game from this team. I feel like we're going to see some big ups and downs from the Timberwolves. I still think they'll be really good. They've got a lot of talent. They are going to be really good defensively. They did a good job in this game, but I don't feel great about the spacing. I don't love the fit of Julius Randle and Ant as your 2 like all NBA guys. And front court of Randle and Gobert, the spacing is not there for a guy like Ant who should be attacking inside. We're going to have to wait to see more of it. I'm not going to draw any crazy conclusions off one game. Just was clunky, which I kind of expected. Oh, and final note, I'm surprised that Rob Dillingham never touched the floor in this game. Not that I think he's going to be a big contributor in year 1 as a small young guard on a team with championship aspirations, but the offense got really stagnant. It felt like they could use a burst of energy, some type of shot creation. I don't know. I'm just shocked he didn't get a single minute tonight. But yeah, those are my thoughts on the 2 games to start off the season. Let me know down below what your takeaways were. Is Boston like guaranteed to win the finals now and repeat in your opinion? Are the Knicks in trouble? What do you think about Mikal Bridges' jumper? How'd you feel about the Lakers with JJ Redick? Do you think the Julius Randle thing is going to work at all this season? All those things down below. And as always, leave a like and subscribe if you enjoyed. Hit the notification bell so you don't miss out on future videos. And yeah, I'm going to be doing this a lot of nights throughout the season, so make sure to stay tuned into the channel. I appreciate y'all watching. I'll see y'all later. Everyone, say it back.